This is Protoman of Protoretro, and this is a video review of the Transformers Generation 1 Boss Coffee original figure line. So let's do this.
Protoretro.
Now in 2008, Takara along with Boss Coffee released the Boss original figure collection. And what these were essentially were Generation 1 figure characters that didn't transform, although there is two exceptions to this. There was two versions and two releases. There was the single edition release, which came on a single can of coffee, of cold coffee, and then there was the two-pack releases. How these essentially work is that you have your can of coffee and you have a little plastic nub that when you would pull it off, you'd have the figure inside. And you would always be able to tell which one you were getting because of the shown character, in this case Optimus Prime and Optimus Prime there. Now, you're probably asking, why is there coffee with Transformer toys? Boss Coffee is a company that for many years have been doing retro nostalgia campaigns related to their marketing and customers. This is a Japanese product, so they're the kings of marketing, these guys. And Boss Coffee always targets their coffee drinking audience of between the ages of 20 and 30 and 40. So a lot of times they do pack-in promotions related to older nostalgic merchandising, whether it be Kaneko Man or video game related, or in this case Transformers. All stuff that ranges for someone between the age of 25 and 30 or 35. So here is the single release. You crack it off, and then inside you'd have the figure. In this case, Optimus Prime, which you have to assemble. Now, same thing, two-pack. I'll just, by the way, show you. These ones are different. It's the two-pack have different figures. You crack it off, and the figure would be inside. I removed the figure in this case because he would have came crashing down. So, this one is the two-pack one, which had 3 gold figures and 2 transformable new characters to the Generation 1 universe using repaints from the Cybertron line. And then you have the single ones, which you also saw which figure you would get because it would have the Optimus Prime or whatever. And it also had 10 different figures. 5 Decepticons, 5 Autobots. So let's go through these all. This one is the Optimus Prime. Comes with a piece of paper, which I'll get to in a sec, and a figure that you just simply have to assemble. All these guys came in 2 pieces, just like that. So here's Optimus. Articulation is always only limited to just the arms, and usually the paint schemes are more or less accurate. The paper that comes with it is kind of like a choose your display kind of thing. You open it up completely, and it just advertises the cross-promoting products, and Boss Coffee, and going to the Boss Coffee Derby, blah blah blah. But it also explains how the paper doubles as a background stand. So you get a choice of a Cybertronian location, or it's always two different things. Something that's with a rainbow, in this case the Ark. The other one being the Nemesis underwater. And you would put these and you would fold them and you'd put them on the back. In this case I'm not going to bother with it though, and then you would put your figure on top. That was kind of the concept that they were going for. Each character has a different kind of display on the back. So here's the second one. Again, same thing. You have your display. This one shows Bumblebee you get. And it's Bumblebee. Very simple. Black arms, painting, not bad. There's a little paper there. He has a waterfall with a rainbow. And from the first episode of G1, Mortem ECI Parts 1, when you had the fire, when they had narrator talking about the beginning. Now you got Jazz, or Meister, for Japanese. Uses a lot more black on the arms and legs. Still pretty cool. And again, everyone has the arm and leg articulation. Wheeljack. Still pretty cool, nonetheless. And finally, Ironhide. And we got Ironhide, looking like his show accurate model. Now we got the Decepticons. So, obviously, Megatron. Very nice. Starscream, of course. Top tier. Can't forget the Screamer. Here's Soundwave. Soundwave's kind of funny because of the colors that they used. They couldn't like paint in his arms, so he has these white arms instead of having the little details on the shoulders and the forearm, but still pretty cool nonetheless. Nice detail on it for a small figure. We have Shockwave. That one's pretty cool. And I think probably the most interesting out of all of these, they went with Astrotrain, which is pretty cool because Astrotrain doesn't get enough love. So considering all these other guys have a handful of figures with movie figures and all kinds of interpretations, Astrotrain finally gets a interpretation. So how big are these guys really? Well, they're about a little bigger than, that's a decoy right there from Generation 1. They're a little larger than those. And that's just it. These things are kind of an example of Japanese culture and small figures and the collectability, and at least in this case, because usually a very common thing with Japanese culture is blind packing, but in this case doesn't seem to be the case, because usually blind packing is very common. Now, we're going to go to the 2-pack Wave 2 stuff. Now, as I showed before, there was the 3 gold releases, which are a lot larger, and then you have the 2 transformable figures. And they came pretty much like that. They came with a piece of paper that more or less just advertises the same things, or shows how to transform. So the first one was, obviously, an Optimus Prime. Now to show you how big these ones are, because they are 2-pack, they're a lot larger. And they're done in a gold plastic, which is pretty cool. And this one has articulated heads, and the arms move. Optimus is unarmed. The second one, we have, again, Starscream. Head, arms. Nice sheen to the gold. I don't know why, it just looks really nice. And finally, of the non-transformables, Megatron. Pretty cool. Now we move on to the 2 new characters that were created for this that were transformable. So we had an Autobot and Decepticon. The first one was affectionately known as Cradon. I guess probably a play on the word crane. And he possesses a kind of a color scheme very similar to that of a Rector or anything like that, you know, yellow crane kind of thing. This was a mold that was used already in Cybertron, and it was used for a character named Longarm. And then the club exclusive figure had Astro Hook, again using the same mold. And, you know, very simple transformation, as being a Minicon. You just popped these up, you flipped it like that, and then just pretty much folded them in half there, and that was more or less it. Maybe just secure it there a bit. And again, I'm going to get a Rector here. Similar cues with the colored face, and who knows what they were going for with that. But he's an Autobot. He has a little silver Autobot logo there on his chest. A new Generation 1 character created exclusively for this line. And sadly, he doesn't have a bio. The paper that came with it just shows the main figures and then instructions how to transform him, if we needed instructions. But that probably wasn't the case. Now the Decepticon was Seawave, using a green repaint of, again, from the giant planet Minicons from Cybertron. And Seawave is a repaint of what was known as Deep Dive. And then again, later in the club exclusive Astrotrain, came with Astro Sinker. So in Seawave, just like the other ones, was very simple. Very, very simple in this transformation. Everything just kind of opened up here, like that. Then you folded those down. Then everything opened up over here, essentially. Then you flipped it all around. Yeah, these are Minicons, so simple concepts, but nonetheless. And there you go. Now, for those who are familiar with the mold, he always has a very Warpath-looking kind of upper torso, mainly because of the Minicon port, and even the face, but very simple. And he was a Decepticon, just to reiterate that one. A new Decepticon character. It created exclusively for the Boss Coffee line. And that's it in a nutshell. Really funny campaign concept. I think the only thing that really caught my eye, aside from the fact that these were some really nice PVC figures, was the fact that 2 new characters were created exclusively just for this line. But nonetheless, pretty cool. I heavily suggest, if you really like your Generation 1 characters, you could pick these up pretty cheap as a whole set, like get the whole bundle of everything here. For, I've seen as low, at some conventions, as low as 20 bucks for everything. So it's a nice little addition. So this is Protoman of Protoretro, and this has been a video review of the Boss Coffee Figure Original Collection. So until then, roll out.